All right. Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday. This is episode number 1 of ACX Thursday, question and answer session, where I come on here and answer all of your questions about voiceover on ACX. My name is Anthony Pica, and this show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. Welcome. We made it. It is the 16th. I'm very, very excited about this session today because we had, it came about from last Friday. We were doing a Fiverr Friday, and we were talking lots of questions, and then we got into some questions about ACX, and I thought, you know what, that is really, really, really awesome. So, we should go ahead and make an ACX Thursday. So I am very excited about doing this. I've had people contacting me all week telling me that they're excited. So I've got my coffee cup, which says there's no place like home, and I am ready to go. I've got a pen for no reason whatsoever. I just have it. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So we could start off by you knowing that there is a lag on the moments and the times that you post questions and so forth. So if you post something, please give it a few seconds for it to pop up on my end. And when it does, I'll go ahead and answer it. And I'd like to welcome everybody again from Instagram. We've got a bunch of people popping over here. This is great. And we've got people from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. It looks like there's some wonky things going on as always. So with coming in and out. So hopefully, we'll be getting all of this kicking off quite nicely. So I want to start off real quick while people are coming in and getting their questions prepped for ACX Thursday. I want to talk a little bit about, knowing ACX and what you can do with that platform. So if you don't know what ACX is a platform that is owned by Amazon, and it is for independent publishers and producers, aka audiobook narrators, right? And to come together and publish their books, to create audiobooks through the platform independently. So it's like an indie publishing platform through ACX. It is free to use. It is kind of like the Wild West because, you don't pay through that platform, meaning that if someone, hires you to do a voiceover, they have to pay you through PayPal or Stripe or whatever you use online accept payments. If you do a royalty share, Amazon does pay you then through ACX. You are paid and you can determine whether you want that deposited into your direct deposit or whatever into your account based on royalties. But otherwise, it's really between you and the author because ACX really doesn't care because you have to actually upload the content to ACX in order for it to get on Amazon and so forth. So, that they don't really care, how closely you work or if work is going on and off the platform, because honestly, it doesn't matter unless you put it through their platform to upload it on Amazon. So, that's what ACX is. And I get asked, the question a lot, can you make a living working off of ACX? And now, of course, I think, depends on what your idea of a living is. But I think that, based off of the things that I've made, I know for me, I've made, I've generally probably generate about $10,000 to $15,000 a year of income from ACX currently not doing anything. Meaning that I started a while ago doing royalty share books, and I did a whole bunch of them. That's how I started my career, doing royalty share books and just narrating book after book after book. I was doing about 2 or 3 a week. I was pumping them out. Short summary books, health, self-improvement books that were under 3 hours, a lot of them under an hour. And I was pumping those out, and, it really turned out well for me. I get a nice check every month, and now all the work I do is from per finished hour, and lots of people contact me through ACX, all right, to work, as opposed to me having to go on there and do the work myself, do the auditioning myself. But if a book comes up that I'm really interested in, I'll go ahead and do that. And also I work on a lot of other platforms, like Fiverr, etc., where people find me and want me to do their books and help them put it on ACX for them. So I will oftentimes do books off of ACX, and then with that author, they'll give me their password and so forth, and I'll go into their account, help them set it up, and upload the audiobooks for them. This happens quite a bit, and I recommend that you learn as much as you can about that platform so that you can become more than just a narrator, but you can become something where it's like a one-stop shop for people, especially new, because remember, their authors are everywhere. And they want to get an audiobook up because it's free for them and it's good money, right? And it helps it helps book sales too. So, it's a good thing for you to learn how to do that. All right, so we've got bunches of people coming in. Looks like we got a good crowd today. Let's see. By the way, I want to thank everybody who got questions popping up. We are almost at 750 subs on YouTube. We've grown in the last 2 months. We've grown almost 250 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. The Facebook group is almost up to 600 people in our Facebook group, which is amazing. That's growing like wildfire. Instagram is growing, Twitter is growing, every place is growing. Thank you guys so much for participating and being a part of this. All right, so let's dive into this. If you got questions, let's take a question off of Instagram first. The question is, have you heard about the fraudulent activity going on in ACX? So, there is, I don't know if you saw the video I did yesterday about totally almost being scammed out of my mind through LinkedIn. It does not surprise me, and it is not the first time there's been a bunch of stuff going through ACX. You have to be super careful, and I want to give you some advice right now about working through ACX and other platforms, but we're talking about ACX today. So when you go, and now mind you, I imagine you're also talking about the fact that people are taking books and doing things like that, as well as, ripping people off and so forth. And that happens a lot. But and I know some people who I've worked with too, voice actors who have also worked with people who did voiceovers, and then, people ripped off the books and had them do that, and they got him take them down. They had to get the books taken down and couldn't do them anymore. It was a mess. So I know there's a lot of junk. I don't know exactly what you're hearing about right now with the fraudulent activity, but if you post it on here, that'd be pretty cool, and I could talk about it. But what I was going to say is that when you are doing per finished hour work through ACX, since it's not paid through ACX and it is not an escrow, I always make them pay me half up front. Always make them pay me half up front. The only thing that I do not do, of course, is when you're doing a royalty share book, that's paid through ACX, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing royalty plus, or you are doing a per finished hour, you need to ask them to pay half up front for your recording. That's your recording fee, to pay half up front so that it's real. Now, in all fairness to the platform of ACX, ACX will not release books to people if you have not clicked that little paid button at the end, right? So you have to click that paid button in order for the book to be released to that person. So it's not like they can steal it, but still, I always make sure that they pay me at least half up front so that I know that it's okay, and then they pay me half upon finishing the book, the other half, okay? So, all right, so good question and thought, and yeah, I'd love to hear more about that, Katrina. Okay, let's go over to, let's see, Facebook. We've got John. We've got Jeremy on YouTube. What's up, Jeremy? We got, I didn't get my chocolate fudge cake. Someone else ate it. I'm sorry, John. Been buzzing about today since last Friday. Absolutely, man. All right, Steve. Steve is here. Is there a way to pinpoint only summary books? No. There is not a way to pinpoint only summary books, but this is what you do. So, and by the way, summary books were very popular a couple years ago. And, I'm not saying they're not as popular now, but they might not be as easy to find as they were before. But here's what you do. So for starters, on your search panel, you look for 3 hours and under. Make sure that you have clicked all the right criteria on your filter section. So 3 hours or under, because that's what I always looked for. And always, make sure you have the royalty share clicked, because if it's not clicked, most of those are royalty share books. I love the shorter books. I don't care what anyone else says. I just personally love doing the shorter books because it makes life so much easier to finish them. You've got an asset now that's going to pay you, even if it only pays you, $50 a year. That's $50 a year that you had to do once and you don't do anything else. You do 100 of those, right? And now you're making $5,000 a year. So that's pretty cool to me. I love that, right? So, it doesn't necessarily have to be just a summary book. It's just a shorter book that's under 3 hours long. And I prefer ones that are under an hour long. Okay. So good question. Yeah. So you want to make sure you first tick the summary, the 3 hours or under, and also make sure you have royalty share. I usually click, any as well, like pricing wise. But there's different strategies with that. But for the shorter books, that's what I do. Okay. And then you literally have to go through. You could see it because it'll say summary book. All right. All right. Good job. Katrina wrote a little bit more. I heard about rights holders somehow being able to take books that aren't theirs and passing it off as their own for the audio version. I unfortunately worked with a few people. Yes. So that was that I knew some people that happened to, and they got their books taken down. That really sucked. Absolutely. Okay, so with that being said, make sure you do your due diligence. Okay, just like we talked about yesterday with the scam of the century, do your due diligence. And with books, this is how you do it. You have to go and you have to research. You have to research the author, the name, see what they're doing, all right, and so forth. There's a lot of times where I literally ask them, do you have the right to publish this? Because their names and things do not match up. And unfortunately, people like us who work online for the majority of our work, we have to deal with it. It sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so let's see. We've got Alan from Facebook. What's up? Leroy from Facebook. What's up? Dwight, Colin, Zach. Okay, we got a question from DK. Hi, Anthony. How long does it take you to record 30,000 words, and what steps do you follow? All right, great question. So according to ACX, 9,300 words is about an hour of finished audio. As a rule of thumb, okay, they claim that it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 hours per finished hour of audio. So 3 to 6 hours of us actually narrating, editing, etc., to get a finished hour done. For me, that is unacceptable. Because to me, every extra second, every extra minute I record that it takes me to record, it's costing more to do it, right? So what I try to do is I try to get down to a 2-to-1 kind of thing. For every 2 hours, I record one finished hour. I do this by switching up my punch and roll strategy. So I do punch and roll on the front end, not the back end, meaning that as I go through the book, I do 99% of the edits and everything while I'm narrating the book, not just narrating the book and then going back and doing it afterwards. It doesn't, you can do whatever way you want to do. I'm just telling you what I do in order to decrease my time. So meaning like if I screw up, I stop, go back, punch and roll, and go back into it and just keep going and fix the problem right then and there. I don't use a dog clicker anymore. I tried it for a little while, but I didn't like it. That was just me personally. Again, this is just me, is not meaning there's a million ways to do it. But for me, I started just fixing everything as I'm going through it. And yes, it took me more time to record, but what I found is that I have like a 95% accuracy at the end of the recording that I don't have to go back and listen to it because I've already done all of the work. So it takes me 2 hours to record a finished 1 hour of audio. That's how I try to pump out those things. And then I plan my day accordingly. If you're interested in hearing a really great, amazing interview, check out a VO's Journey podcast where I interviewed Sean Pratt, who is, a audiobook wizard and who's done thousands of nonfiction audiobooks and stuff. And it was an amazing interview. It's a VO's Journey podcast. You can find it on iTunes and anything like that. There'll be a link also in YouTube's description and so forth. But it's really, really, really incredible. So that's what I do. And what he does with his schedule, which is what I do if I'm book heavy, you know what I mean? Like if I have a lot of books to do, is, he'll record a couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the afternoon, trying to generate 2 finished hours of audio a day. So if you have a book that's like 30,000 words, right? If you divide that, right, you come out to about what? It's about 4 hours or so, 3.5 hours of finished audio, right? So, that should take you, at least for me, I don't want that taking me more than 7 hours to complete. So I'm going to try to get that done in 3 days. Okay, so that's something that I try to do. And like I said, that's my system. It takes some time, especially if you're used to another way. But that's just how I like to do it so that I don't have to go back and listen to it. And I have found that if I do it right, I have like a 95% accuracy rate at the end so that I don't have to listen back through everything because I've already done all the editing and stuff prior to finishing the book. Okay, so anyways, great question. Ooh, that was a good one. Okay, Roy. What's up, Roy? From YouTube. Anna from Facebook. Hello. We have Boss Cyanide. Hey, buddy. About to get rolling on the podcast recording, but wanted to swing by and say, hey, awesome, man. John says, if I wrote a book myself and created the audiobook in ACX, the only way for me to publish my book for resale through Amazon. Okay, so John, in order to, first you write your book and then it has to be published through Amazon, which is Kindle, KDP, or that's the Kindle publishing platform. So you go through there and you have to publish it as an indie publisher through Amazon first. Once you do that, you become an author. And then you get on ACX and there's a section where, it says for producers, for authors. You go on there and you find there'll be a little thing that says find your book, and it'll show the books that are published under your name. You click that's your book. See, so what people have done, and this going back to what Katrina said, what people have done is you can go on to ACX as an author and click a book that has a similar name to yours, and it doesn't have to be yours, and then pawn it off as yours. So you can do that. And honestly, love ACX, love Amazon. They could probably do more to help that, but it is what it is. So that's how you do it. So then once you do that, you don't make the book available for if you want to narrate it, right? You don't make it available for other people. You just upload the files yourself. So that's what I do when I work with authors. We just go on there and, everything is they own it. They get the 40% royalty as opposed to splitting it 20/20 with another author because they've paid me outright for the book. Does that make sense? So you have to take those steps in order to do it, John. I think that hopefully that's answering your question. Big Jim, daily shout out. What's up, man? Okay, let's go over to Instagram real quick. We got, let's see, the Steve Corona, I guess. I've seen some long audiobooks, 8 hours plus, wanting royalty share only. And the rights holders of these wonder why they get 0 auditions. What's your cutoff for length of the book you'll do for royalty share? Absolutely. My cutoff, honestly, at this point in my career is under, it's literally under 2 hours or less. And if it's more than, if it's 2.5 hours, it's got to be ranked really high. It's got to be, well, first off, the royalty share books need to be ranked high for you to expect to make any money. But the less amount of time, now this is just me, the less amount of time it takes for me to record it, the more I'm willing to fudge a little bit on the rankings, right? Because the amount of effort and time I'm putting into it is not going to generate, or it's not going to cost me as much time. But I don't do 8 hours. There's no way under the sun I would personally do that unless it was for a like friend or something, like, like a real friend. And then even then I'd be like, nah, you got to pay me something up front. That's way too long for me personally. I would never do a royalty share book that long. That doesn't mean that you guys can't do it. Me personally, I wouldn't ever do it. I do at least 2 hours or less, and most of them are under an hour. Yeah, absolutely. The long of a book seems to like a lot of time for me to spend without knowing if I'll ever get paid for it. Yeah. What's interesting is everybody knows the Booth Junkie. Love the guy. He's awesome. He published a video way back when about royalty share. And I'll never forget him saying how he didn't agree with doing royalty shares on ACX because of the time versus money. And I completely agree with him if the book is really long. Right? Because and unfortunately, when the book is super long like that too, if you don't actually have a good ranking on that book, you might spend 30, 40 hours working on a book and make $5. And that is just heart-wrenching. So I looked at that video that he put out as a guide for me to change my thinking and to go after a lot shorter books. Right? And so that's why I started doing a lot shorter books. Okay. Let's see. Kevin, what's up, man? Kevin Hamilton, thought of setting up one's profile when you have zero experience this far. Okay, so how to set up your profile on ACX when you have zero experience. By the way, I have a great ACX course where I put together A through Z on starting off, going from the beginning to the end. But as you're setting up your course when you don't have any work, you've got to talk about your prior life experience. You've got to put something down. Listen, I did a couple of different reviews and things. I'm starting to do a lot of Fiverr reviews. And by the way, I think I'm going to start doing ACX reviews because I've got a lot of people asking me to review their ACX profiles and their samples and stuff. So I'm going to start doing that as well. And I'll let you know when I come out with that. That'll be similar to my Fiverr review through Gig. So you go through Fiverr and you order it, and I send you a video and show you everything, and I go through it from A to Z. So you have a video of me telling you what you can do to get better results. But anyways, the thing is that you've got to play up the fact that you are a unique individual. You have experiences. You have an education. All right, no matter what it is, you have, and whether you were an engineer, right, at a water treatment plant, and now you're doing voiceover, you still have experiences in your life, and you need to put that down. And I tell you why, because there are people hiring us who are the same thing. You know what I recommend everybody does too? I recommend you go here on YouTube and you look up authors talking about ACX to other authors. Learn what they are talking about. They are people just like us working full-time jobs, trying to be authors part-time, trying to do everything that we are trying to do. They're just doing it through writing, and we're doing it through audio. So you've got to be able to put down your own experiences, who you are, what makes you unique, and what differentiates you. Being an engineer at a water treatment plant, I mean, that's pretty cool. That gives you a unique technical experience and look on life, which would be great for nonfiction audiobooks. There's a lot of technical stuff out there that you would probably be fantastic reading because you could actually make sense of the terms that people are saying. Whereas, there's some of us read some of the books like, I have no idea what those vocabulary words mean. And it would take me a lot longer to figure out what they are and how to say them. All right. And the same thing with medical narration and so forth. So yeah, so play on who you are. Okay. All right, let's see here. Let's go back over here to Zach says, John, Big Jim Daily shout out. So excited for yeah, love the shirt. Big Star Wars nerd I am. So I like that. So I'm working on the first novel and I'm realizing how bad of a marathon reader I am. Haven't you mentioned you started out that way but got better? I'm afraid of not improving as a long form reader. I hope it's not a natural skill only. Zach, absolutely. When I first started, it took, you know what, Zach, I'm gonna be straight with you. It took me over a year, man. And you know how many books I did in the beginning? It was ridiculous. It took me over a year to learn how to not be uncomfortable when I read out loud. And that was, and I think I did a podcast recently about that, or a video about the fact that the more talking I've done, especially by doing these live videos too, you got to get used to hearing yourself talk and being okay with the way you sound, because if you're not, we're going to be constantly uncomfortable hearing ourselves. And I don't know about you guys, but for the longest time, this is how I felt. I felt like there was always something wrong with what I was doing. It wasn't quite right. It didn't feel right. It felt like I had to push everything through my narration, right? It just wasn't like it wasn't natural. You know what I mean? And it's taken me a long time to just be myself and to be okay with it. So Zach, honestly, man, it's not natural, dude. You got to just do it over and over and over and over and over again. And then what you realize is after a while, it will become natural. You know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, I hope that helps. Leroy, what do you think the best time saving technique for editing would be? And I did talk about that, which is the punch and roll on the front end, fixing your mistakes as soon as you make them. Fixing your mistakes as soon as you make them, and planning out when you are going to record and how much you are going to record. Here's another little tip. I don't actually like, because of time, unless it's some massive book that's a fiction book that that I'm being paid a lot of money to do, I don't have time to read through the whole book. Okay, we don't have time to read through the whole book. And one of the cardinal sins of audiobook narration is not reading through the whole book first, right? That's a big thing. But since most of us don't have time to read through an entire book, so in order to curb that is, instead of reading through the whole book, what you do is you stop and you pick and say, okay, today I'm going to do chapters 1 and 2. Well, you know what? Read chapters 1 and 2 and narrate that. Remember, I'm talking about books that are short, nonfiction books, fiction books too. But the thing with fiction books and the challenge is like, what you don't want to do is you don't want to read through narrate. I tell you a story. What happened to me? I was narrating an audiobook, and I was in the audiobook. I was a military man, and it was this sci-fi book. Had a lot of fun. I was like this Marine, and I was gruff kind of guy. I was narrating, and about 60% through the book, I'm narrating this guy by like he's a New York, like he's got this strong New York accent, and he's just rough and gruff, and I'm narrating, and by the way, the author approved all the work I was doing right up to that point. Then I get about 60% through the book, and then it says that the guy's from Minnesota, right? And it's like, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm have a New York accent. I'm like, I'm from Minnesota, right? What am I doing? And I messaged the author. I said, dude, you approved the New York thing and it says he's from Minnesota. And the guy said, hey, listen, I live in Minnesota. We all got messed up accents. Just do the New York accent. I like it. So that was a lucky situation. But most times what would happen is that you'd have to go back and re-record everything. And you don't want to do that when you're dealing with that type of fiction book. So make sure that you know what type of book you're reading. Nonfiction, you can pretty much get away with it. I like to read the work that I'm doing that particular day. And I like to edit everything up front right then and there when I make a mistake so that I don't have to go back in the end. All right, some good stuff. I got some time for a couple more questions. Let's see. Punch in. Okay, Leroy, are you answering me now? Oh, okay. Punch and roll with a question mark. John says punch and roll with a question mark. So punch and roll is an old term that we still use today, but it comes from when you used to edit audio, right? It was in a tape form, right? It would be in a tape form, and in order to edit the audio, you actually had to punch in at the recording on the tape. All right, you had to punch in and roll the new tape onto it in order for it to work. So that was where punch and roll comes from. Nowadays, what it means basically is when you record something, there's a mistake, you back up to like the beginning of, that mistake. And then what it does is it allows you to, you have your setting, it allows you to go like 3 to 5 seconds back. And when you hit record, it will start playing what you've already said for like 3 to 5 seconds. And then once it gets to the place where you've marked that's the mistake, it will allow you to record. And the idea is that you get a chance to hear how you're talking. So you guys know that when the biggest issue with trying to edit stuff after we've done it is making it sound the same in the same context and the same sound and tone. That's what this does now. And it makes it very nice so that it all sounds the same. It doesn't sound like the rabbit was walking down the den. It doesn't sound like that. As you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, good call there. Let's see. John said, this is pure gold. Awesome, man. I've never been an avid reader, and I've always been able to imitate talking to audiobooks, yet I know it's a booming industry that's only growing. Yeah, audiobooks is always, there's always audiobooks available. BDoggy45, should I still try it, or should I get a bit more comfortable with my other VO endeavors? Don't wait. Don't wait for a thing. Just do it. How uncomfortable it is, don't worry about it. Just do it. All right, let's see. Okay. John said, this is pure gold. Hello, Anthony. Pica AM from Nigeria. What's up, Eddie? What is the best software for recording voiceover? So everyone is going to have their own favorites. I personally use Adobe Audition. It's just something that I've always used, and I absolutely love it. Something very popular is Reaper. There's many other. The free software that's the most popular is Audacity. You have things like Pro Tools. You have things, all kinds. There's multiple different platforms. I personally love the ease and all the extra things that you get with Adobe Audition. But Reaper is a less expensive in the long run, but I think there's some more things you can do with Adobe Audition, but they're both still really good. Those are the ones I would recommend at the moment. And Audacity if you are looking for a free version. And you can do everything you need to do on Audacity. It's just not going to be as intuitive and everything because it's free. So, but those were the three that I recommend up front for audiobook narration. Let's see. Dwight says, doing 0% rank books on a split is only to work out your equipment and DAW issues. 0% rank books on a split is only... Okay, so I'm assuming what you're saying is doing poorly ranked audiobooks for royalty share is only to work out your equipment and DAW issues. Dwight, the way I looked at it was that, but I also looked at it the way, well, if you say 0% rank bookings, yes, those are the books that have just been published, have no ranking. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, have no ranking at all because they're just new or they've not been actually ranked yet. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that as well. But that's why on those particular books, I never do those books I never do over like 0.6 hours or under. So I never do anything of those books. Everything is under an hour if I would ever do those books. Okay. Just because a book is on there and you can get it doesn't necessarily mean you want to go for it. Okay, you want to find books that are being ranked, and the higher up they go, right, the closer to 1, okay, they go, the better. Okay, so that's what you want to be looking for. All right, what's up, DJ? I know you say it's not DJ, but that's all I know what to say is DJ. What's up, man? How important do you think are acting abilities for VO? I think they're extremely important. I have a BFA, in theater, in acting, I've trained my whole life. I've been a director and actor. I've done acting. It's been a part of my life since, forever. So it's kind of one of those things where I believe in it a lot. So acting is very important. You need to be working on your acting constantly. We're always in a business. We're always getting trained. Whether you're an employee, we're always having training. It's the same thing with this. You always need training, and acting is definitely something that you need to be trained on, and you need to stay up, to getting others to listen to you and give you feedback and trying to get better at the craft. Okay, to get better at the craft because, bad audio is one thing, but poor acting, that's a nightmare, right? Like that's a nightmare. And we all know it when we hear it, right? Okay. Let's see. Oh, stuff coming in on Fiverr while we're doing this here. Okay, what's your favorite genre to narrate? I love fiction, sci-fi. I love it. I love fiction, sci-fi. Yeah, that's probably my favorite to narrate. But I also like first-person self-improvement books. I love those. Like where I'm in the first-person spot and I'm talking as the author and teaching, just like I do here. I do love that. So that's probably actually my favorite. And then sci-fi fiction books would be. But that, those authoritative self-improvement books, because I love to listen to those the most too. So those are actually what I enjoy a lot. Let's see. How important do you... Okay, I'm worried about cold reading. I'm used to having lines memorized. You just got to go for it, man. You'll get better. You will get better at it. I promise. Okay, Dwight, have you noticed that some audition scripts for audiobooks have grammatical errors? Do you fix them for your audition or performance written as well? So yes, Dwight, that's true. A lot of the stuff you're going to come across as shorter books on ACX are going to be poorly written. And you have to make a decision. You got to make a decision on whether you're going to go for that book or you're not going to go for that book. Okay? And I always base my decisions on the rankings of the book, how many reviews it has, are they verified purchases, that kind of thing, how long it's been published, what is the track record of the author, okay? And if all of that's good, most likely you're not going to have grammatical issues or issues like that. Do I fix them? I'll say, yeah, I'll try to say it correctly, but I'm not going to waste my time. Your time is precious. Okay, it's valuable because you could be spending it finding a book that's going to make you more money. Do you know what I mean? So don't spend too much time on that stuff. John, thanks. Thanks, man. Let's see. Wolf said, that sucks. I'm in Minnesota, New York. Forget about it. That's funny. Okay, so Lee says, how do you punch and roll with Adobe Audition? Lee, it's amazing. So then, well, it depends on what Adobe Audition you have. If you have Adobe CC or Adobe Audition CC, you literally go down to the red record button that's right in the middle of the screen, right click it, and you now have an option to set it to punch and roll just by clicking it, and then you just hit the record button. It's amazing. It used to be, if you have an older version, you had to go into multi-track, and you had to do it through multi-track and do the punch and roll where you had to highlight and then go back. And then what you would do is you'd highlight the spot you wanted to record, move the cursor, move the little line back like 3 to 5 seconds, however you wanted, hit the record button, it would start to record. And then once it got to the section you highlighted, that's what you would record, and it would record a separate audio like over it. Do you know what I mean? So that's how it used to be. But now on Adobe Audition, you can literally right click on the button in single audio file or whatever. You just right click and it'll come up with 3 different options, and one of them is punch and roll. It's brilliant. It's absolutely wonderful. Let's see. Juan Moya, do you remember Juan and Joan from Bruton? Bruton High School is a place I used to teach at. Juan and Joan. I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to see. I remember Joan. Absolutely. I remember Joan. Joan was in one of my classes when I taught technical theater. So what's up, Joan? It's good to see. Good to see you on YouTube. John says, and singing pirates. Yes. Leroy, have you narrated anything about music or world music? Listen, I've narrated like everything. I've narrated poetry. I've narrated musical lyrics. I've narrated all that stuff, and I don't like it. I actually don't like reading. I don't like narrating poetry, and I don't like narrating the lyrics and stuff because usually the authors I found are very picky, and rightly so, but they will come after you, and usually they don't pay very well because they're poor. So, is what it is. You know what I mean? I mean that out of love, right? But, they're starving artists like we are. So, it's usually a headache because they want the words said exactly perfectly. It can be challenging. So I don't particularly do that stuff. I don't like to. I used to. I mean, I did it when I first started. When I first started, I did everything. I did it all. Anything that I could get, I did because I was hungry for it. Do you need 15-minute initial approval as you are recording a longer book? You always need 15-minute approval on ACX. You have to put in the 15 minutes first to get approved. And by the way, it's great because, like I said, God forbid you record, 6 hours of an audiobook and the author doesn't like it and wants you to redo all of it. You know what I mean? So that 15 minutes is imperative. So yes, you do. Am I getting it? So if you are recording a small book, by the way, if you don't upload 15 minutes and you upload 10 minutes, this is a little unknown thing. If you upload less than 15 minutes, you can still upload it and they can still approve it. It's not going to ding you if you don't upload 15 minutes. That's a little trick. So if you like doing a shorter book that's 30 minutes long, and you upload 15 minutes, upload 5 minutes. Okay. Zach says, no problem. Lee, how do you punch and roll with it? Oh, I missed. Okay, sorry. Going down. Do you read the whole book before beginning your narration? Todd, that's what I was talking about earlier. Unless it is a book that I'm being paid a lot of money for and it is a long fiction book with lots of characters and it might be a mystery or something, I do not have time to read the entirety of books. So what I do is I pick the chapters I'm going to work on for a day and I will skim through those chapters so I'm aware of what's going on, and then I read it. Then I narrate it. I don't have time to read through the books, like I said, unless of those other situations. Okay. All right. So let's see. Philippe says, are there any other means than ACX to find audiobook auditions, or is that pretty much it and the best option worth your time? No, there are other places than ACX. There are many places that you can submit, and I don't have a list off the top of my head, but there's a lot. All the freelancer sites. All the freelancer sites, people are actively looking for. I started on ACX and then I moved over to promoting heavily on Fiverr my audiobook gig, and I got. That's how I built my business on Fiverr originally, was through audiobooks. I don't do audiobooks anymore really on Fiverr. I do a few for people I know, but mostly my work is commercial work, video narration on Fiverr now. But I used to get tons of audiobook work on Fiverr, tons, and people still are. Now people contact me. I still get lots of contacts for audiobooks, but I charge too much now, because I'm not going to do audiobooks now, you know what I mean, because of my time. But that unless they pay me my rate. But see, that's the choice that you make. When I first started, I did a whole bunch of stuff for royalty share in order to build my business. And as I built my business slowly but surely, my prices started going up, and they started going up and started going up. And now they are where they are, and people work with me. There's people who do, and then there's people that, don't work with me. So you can do it all kinds of places. You can do audiobooks. There are specific things. If someone knows some different things, post it down for that, for Todd. But there are Philippe, sorry. That would be good. There are definitely other places. Let's see. Dwight says, thank you, Anthony Pica. Your wealth of knowledge and candor is precious to me. Awesome, man. Thanks. Leroy, thanks. Todd, sorry I got here. And that's all right. Thanks for the session today. It's been more helpful than you can realize. That's awesome, man. Anthony's ACX course is outstanding. Thanks, CB. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really a great course. And I actually go through step by step in video. I don't know how many videos. There's a bunch of videos of each part of how to fill out your profile and how to do it if you are new and you don't have experience. Because when I started, I had to fill all it out and I had no experience. So I had nothing to put down, So that's a good thing. All right, so let's see. Walter, that sucks. Walter says, I have a Pro Tools 11 and Logic Pro. Logic Pro, thank you. Logic Pro X, but prefer Audacity for VO. Yeah. And a lot of Pro Tools and stuff is an industry standard, but there's so much in it, right, that you don't need all that for VO. Christina, the narrator, I worked with an author who approved everything, and after 10 plus hours decided they wanted to make they wanted a make narrator instead, a male. Hopefully you had them pay upfront, pay half up front. Did you? Hopefully, Katrina, you had them. That's why you make sure that people pay half up front, so that if they come back in the end and they try to say sorry, you have covered yourself. Use those lessons just like I did by getting shafted. I use those lessons I learned to, not get shafted, right? Not get screwed. All right. Sorry, Katrina. That's rough. 10 plus hours. That's a lot. All right, you guys. Oh, we got one more. How is it for you when you have to work on multiple audiobooks with similar time frames? All right, Lee, I want to tell you guys something. At one point, I had at about a six to 8 month stretch when I was really growing my audiobook business, I had anywhere between 6 to 10 books going at the same time. 6 to 10 books going at the same time on ACX and my queue on Fiverr. And I was literally just every single day, just narrate for hours and narrate. I mean, it was a grind. I'm happy because I'm sitting here at 1:45 living my dream now that I did it, but I put in the time for that. So I took as many as I could. All I did was make sure that the more books I got, the more time I put out that it would take me. And I let people know. I said, hey, I've got a bunch of work right now. I would love to do this. And this is the time frame I think it's going to take based on those numbers that I gave you earlier in this show about how much time it takes me. But by the way, what I do now is way faster than when I first started. It took me a lot longer when I first started. So shorter books still seemed like pretty long to me, where it was taking me 4 hours to do an hour, because I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, and where I would process my stuff so much because I didn't understand less is more and all this kind of stuff, So, it's a lot of learning curve too. Let's see. Katrina said, I didn't. I was still fairly fresh in the industry, and she only paid me half of the fee. Sorry. That sucks. Okay, let's see. We'll finish this up. Why did ACX stop showing the book rank on its site? You now have to go to Amazon to search the book rank. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they did, but it's a pain in the butt. I have quite a deep voice. I imagine it has something to do with a change in formatting, and they've not fixed it on ACX, so it doesn't go through, because I believe they still have the section there for it. I think that, I'm pretty sure they do, because every time I go there, they're still there. I have quite a deep voice. Do you think there's a niche where people with a deep voice are more get hired than others? Absolutely. I mean, video narration is great place for it. Books are great too. I mean, your acting is super important. All right? Your acting makes all the difference in the world. And when people try to tell you they want pitches in your voice, that's true, but they also don't understand all the time what they're exactly asking for. And it's our job to interpret it to the best of our abilities, right? AKA our talents, our skills, and to give that to them and to give them a choice. So absolutely, yes, it matters what pitch your voice is, but in the end, there is so much work out there, you guys. It doesn't matter whether you have a high voice or a low voice. A nasally voice. If you notice, I have kind of like a nasally voice. I have a nasally voice, and it still works. I found ways with different registers in my voice to not be as nasally, but I do. It is what it is. So, but it's okay. I do a lot of voiceover work, so you can too. All right. But I do find that in video narration, people really like low voices. They like the low male voices because they always want me to do. They want me to do low voices. Okay, I have do you get much pushback on pay up front? Half. I have them half. No, they either pay me or I don't do the work. But here's the rub. You have to be doing enough auditioning to be putting enough people through the funnel in order to choose what you will and what you won't do. If you are only doing a teeny bit of activity, everything that comes your way, you're going to be like, yes, I'll take it. And you won't be able to feel like you can negotiate. Does that make sense? So like for me, I'm always doing so much that I don't let that stop me. All right, guys, I think I'm going to have to call it. We've been doing this for about 48 minutes. This has been a great session. Thank you, guys. CB says, is it more difficult to find a good ranked book with royalty share since the rank has been removed? All you got to do is just go, like you said, there's a little button that says view it on Amazon. You just have to go to Amazon. I always viewed the Amazon rankings even when the rankings were on the stage, but I'd always go to Amazon and view the rankings and view all the stuff like you said that's in the video that you have. I'd always did that before. Anyways, it does make it harder though, because you have to now go to each one, where before you could try to, weed it out. All right, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Hey, if you get a chance, please, please, please subscribe to the channel, like, retweet, and share this with someone who needs it. Thank you, thank you. Tomorrow is Fiverr Friday. Really excited about that. Tomorrow's Fiverr Friday. So come tomorrow with your questions about Fiverr. And I have some really cool news that I am thinking about doing something crazy. I am thinking about rejoining Voice 123 after I did not re-up, because I've been getting work from Voice 123 with no paid subscription. People have been messaging me, paying me through my PayPal to do voiceovers, and I've gotten more work not paying than I have when I paid for the subscription there. So I'm going to do a podcast about Voice 123, voices.com, people per hour. I've been getting lots of work from people per hour. The voice realm, I'm going to do a podcast on that, those different platforms, because they seem to be growing. For me, at least, I seem to be getting a lot more work there. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that. All right, you guys, you have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I will talk to you guys tomorrow on live at 1 p.m. here for Fiverr Friday. Take it easy. Goodbye. Goodbye. See you.